It's our great pleasure to have you, Bruce, with us here today. Could you introduce yourself and what do you do?
My name is Bruce Dennell, and I am South African. I live in Johannesburg, and I am a magazine editor and a writer and a musician, a singer-songwriter. So those are my three main things.
Great. So our first question, why do you review books?
Reviewing books is one of my great, well, reading, I suppose, is one of my great passions. I love words. I work with words my whole life. I write by default. And I've always felt that books, rather than the internet, rather than all the other stuff that we have, are the best way of accessing knowledge. It's just maybe a personal thing, but I just find it so rich to be able to pick up a book physically and to find knowledge in there. And you know, whereas now you might ask me a question about whatever. If I want to find out about Cairo, I might just type in Cairo into Google and look for something. But it used to be that I'd need to have a book on Egypt or on Cairo to go and look. And I loved that it was all in one place, that it was all there to be found. Just off edges now, we were talking about education, school, you know, and that kind of thing. And I think if you are able to read and read widely, that is a great education. That might be enough education. I'm not saying you don't have to go to school, but if you can read constantly, I think you learn so much about so many people. And reading also gives you insight into people's minds. You know, I don't know you well yet, but if I picked up a book by you without having ever met you, I would be able to kind of access your mindset and understand where you're coming from and what you're about. So to review books is to help others with that access. It's to give people insight into what is available, what is good, and what is well written, in the same way that we'd watch a movie and say this is well made or badly made or poorly acted or something. Great writing is just incredibly inspiring. You know, I find that in TV or something as well. If the writing is amazing, it makes the rest of the product great. So yeah, great writing I find very, very exciting, I must say.
Very good. Okay, let me ask you a different question. Like, how different is knowledge from your real life to knowledge from books?
It's probably quite mixed in my estate. Lots of people have to read piles, so you might next to your bed. A lot of people have maybe 4 or 5 different books, or on the Kindle or whatever. I have about 220. It's a kind of 5-foot pile of books. So I think my view is probably a little bit more colored than most in terms of knowledge from books. But what I was saying just now about having the books giving you insight into people's mindsets, I think I work that into a lot of my life as well. So when I meet somebody, I don't just go, you know, that's nice, bye. I would like to get to know you. I'd like to understand. I'd like to read you, if you like. So maybe it's the same kind of mindset, you know. So to understand what your body language is telling you, to understand when you are sharing one thing and not something else, maybe there's an area of hurt in your life that you don't want to talk about. So I think all of that kind of analysis comes from reading, and probably helps with learning from others, learning from life, and also looking for details. So often in books, you know, the detail is what makes it rich. And you know, if I visit a city, or I meet somebody new, whatever, rather than just be superficial in my observations, I'd rather try and you know, look for the details, see what's really fascinating about that place or that person.
Okay, next question. What is the best book you have reviewed in your opinion?
Oh, this is an incredibly tough question, because I've literally probably reviewed, I don't know, 10, 15,000 books. But there's a Swedish author. He started as a blogger. I think he might still be a blogger, a guy called Frederick Backman. And I think his most famous book, you might recognize the title, is A Man Called Ove, and they made it into a movie. But he's written a lot of others as well, Bear Town, Us Against You, so a bunch of others. There's a whole series, and he has the most, going back to your last question, he has the most amazing ability to teach readers about people. in his writing. So they're fictional stories. A Man Called Ove is about a really, really grumpy old guy in a small Swedish village, and how he's just incredibly grumpy, but he really changes the lives over time of those around him. And it's one of those books when you just read and you suddenly, you were talking about books versus real knowledge, and you suddenly understand something in real knowledge terms, in life knowledge terms, because of something that Frederick has written here. You're going, oh, I get it now. And I can apply that feeling to my good friend who may be depressed or who is misunderstood or something. He's just he's a very, very special writer. And what's interesting is all his, I read in English, his books are written in Swedish. So I'm reading a translation. But that magic in the words is still carried through. It's incredible. He's an incredible, incredible writer. So if I had to choose one author in the last few years, I'd probably go for him, and maybe that book. Let's go for that. A Man Called Ove by Frederick Backman.
Okay, let me ask you another question. Like, do you think the hero of this book reflect your character?
Oh, of that book, I hope not, because Ove is a really grumpy guy. He's really not nice to people at all. Where I think maybe I would hope, again, it's tough to talk about your own character, I suppose, but where I would hope he reflects my character, or I reflect his, is that he has integrity. He stands by what he believes in, and although he is, he's an uptight guy and he doesn't like to interact with others, he is very authentic. He's true to himself in the way that he does interact with them. So, and that's what they come to love, because you can trust authenticity. Even if he's grumpy, if he's authentically grumpy all the time, then you can base your knowledge off his being grumpy all the time. So maybe if I can take a reflection, yes, hopefully I'm an authentic person, and if I say something to you, then I mean it, and then I will deliver on that thing, and that I would really hope would be something, that people would say about me.
Yeah, very interesting. Okay, do people, especially in music industry, read enough?
That's a very interesting question, because I'm as a writer, I call myself a writer because I thought a few years ago, I thought, what do I do by default? So if I'm bored, I write. If I'm busy, I'm writing. So that kind of stuff. That's my default setting. And as you do that for many years, as you read for many years, as you write for many years, you understand the importance of words. So to your question, I think a lot of songs have lyrics that don't say much. They fit the hook of the tune, the thing that sticks in your ear, the catchiness, and that's great. That's not a problem. There's obviously plenty of room for that. But while I can't speak for all the musicians, you can say it doesn't sound like you read a lot. I for one thing, if I'm talking to somebody, if I'm feeling a connection to somebody, and then I find that they don't read, it always makes me sort of a little bit worried. I'm going, that's an alarm bell for me. It's not necessarily like a turn off or anything, but it's an alarm bell. So on the other hand, you get people, you think a famous person, maybe like Bruce Springsteen, who writes a song like 41 Shots, which is, it's about the brutal killing of a young black man. And it's not stuff he's going to pick up while sitting having a cup of coffee at his house. You know what I mean? He's going to have to read about this. He's going to have to research that. And the impact of that song and of those words has to do with understanding the impact of the story. Maybe that's more accurately what it is. So I would say that there's probably a lot more room for more reading, but I would say that to anybody in any sector, not just musician, I would like to see more reading, maybe. I'm a storyteller in my music as well. I would like to see more reading by more musicians, yeah.
Okay. Okay, if you write a book, what will it be about?
Man, this is again because I'm constantly writing. I write literally, and I know the numbers because I've got the backup files. I write literally millions of words, which is amazing. But I I've ghost written a book, so I've written for somebody else, but based on their notes. And I finished a manuscript myself, which was but it came out as more of a play script almost about a group of people and friends and their interactions. And then I've got notes. In 2000, I backpacked around Europe on my own with very little money. So the whole, sort of gap year kind of thing. And I took a lot of notes every single day. And I've still got the notes. So I've been meaning to, I've started, I don't know, 5, 6, 7 times. But I kind of always hit a block somehow. So I want to finish that book with those notes. I'm just trying to figure out how to tell the story in an interesting way. So it's not this kind of, I went there today and then I did that. And I think that's boring. I think there are much more interesting ways to do it. So I'm going to look at that.
Yeah. Okay. Okay. What kind of music do you play?
So again, we talked about the storytelling. I would say my main influences are probably folk music, which is where the story is as important as the music. So the lyrics are very important, are front and center. Something that you need to worry about. Obviously, you want to have a tune that people will remember as well. But I'm very influenced by that kind of thing. And any musician, James Taylor, for instance, is a very big influence on me. Paul Simon, all of those kinds of guys, where there are stories and often complex stories in the music, and then also just people who are comfortable with their musicianship. So I love harmonies. The Indigo Girls, an American duo, are a fantastic example there. And again, I listen to a lot of music because that's something else I review. So many thousands of albums over the years. So there's a lot going on in there in terms of influence. But yeah, I would call myself a sort of folk rock artist, if you like. So yeah, I write with an acoustic guitar, and I've got an electric Telecaster as well. But it's guitar based and storytelling music.
Okay. How is this different from other types of music?
So I think, look, again, I've recorded a lot of music. I think I've recorded probably about 50 songs, which you can find online if you search my name. But understanding the recording process with pop music, for instance, you can, when you listen to it, you can hear that they are doing certain things in certain ways to kind of tick certain blocks for whatever it might be, radio play, commercial appeal, which makes sense. Again, I don't have any problem. I think a lot of people are going, oh, it's not great. What we're hearing, it's too simple and this and that. But if you want to make a living out of music, you need to sell songs. You need to sell albums. And if people are going to buy simple, if people are going to buy constructed building blocks, more power to you. That's not something I'm able to do. It just, we talked about authenticity earlier. It just doesn't feel real to me. But so that's kind of pop music. There are also a lot. I'm happy to say I'm a limited technical guitarist, for instance, which means I can't play metal. It's just there's too much going on that I can't do with fast fingers and so on. And I can't scream. I can't do the whole yelling my head off kind of thing. But I can appreciate that kind of music. So I think folk music is one of those genres which is really a bedrock kind of genre. So all of the other things have built off that. Your gospel is an early one as well. Jazz is a fairly early one. That kind of stuff. And then rock came out of that, and pop came out of that. But it's I think that's one of the things. It's where folk is interested in storytelling. Some others are interested in technical expertise and in immediate kind of commercial appeal.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Okay. Does music express your character?
I hope my music, yes, I hope so. And I think probably also if you kind of looked at, although I've got a very large CD collection, I still listen to CDs, and if you looked at my Spotify playlists and that kind of thing, hopefully you would get an idea of kind of where I am as well, headspace. But certainly, and it's one of those lovely things where listeners can tell you, fans can tell you, that I heard this in your song and it did that and it meant this. So yes, I would say it does. It certainly does reflect things I'm thinking about. Hopefully, my character, what I've been able to learn to do, because I've been writing a long time, since about 1990, 1991. But I've only learned in the last couple of years to write authentically from a character's perspective. So all of those songs up until then, and I've written, I don't know, somewhere between 300 and 400 songs. All of those songs up until a couple of years ago were from my point of view, which is great in terms of you learning about me. But if you don't share my point of view, or we aren't similar in some way, it doesn't really connect. And what I've been much better at in the last couple of years is writing from a character's point of view. So we've met now, and I have some sort of sense of you just from these few minutes of chatting. I would have to imagine so much more, but if I were to write a song about a person doing a YouTube interview, I can now imagine that a lot better. But it would obviously be my perspective on your perspective, if that makes sense. So yes, it does reflect me, and it reflects, I think, maybe more than me, my perspectives on themes that are a big deal. So I'm going through a patch now where this kind of thing, we're communicating so much digitally, using our phones, using WhatsApp, using Facebook, that kind of stuff. And we miss a lot of real interaction there. If I'm messaging you on WhatsApp only, today's the first time I've seen your face. We've had it on Facebook and so on, but I can't read body language. I can't read a smile. I can't read tone in your voice, anything like that. And so we miss a lot of real aspects of our communication. That's something that's kind of weighing heavily on me, because I'm fortunate. I have a lovely family and a close family, but if you're a lonely person and you're not communicating properly, you're not able to communicate properly, that's hard. That's difficult. If you're a depressed person, the same. And so being able to imagine things from those perspectives, I think does give the song some weight, because I'm hearing from people like that who are going, this song means a lot to me. I'm incredibly privileged to have had two different people at different times of different songs tell me that two of my songs stopped them committing suicide. And that for me is the greatest mark of my success. I haven't sold hundreds of thousands of anything, but it's two people are here because of music that I wrote, and that's incredible.
Yeah, more than incredible. Okay, how do you plan to affect the fans' feelings
with my music? I don't know if it's something you can plan. I think again we tie back into the authenticity thing. I think if people sense that you are real, that the words you're saying are real, that they're not designed to kind of elicit them. So again, if I wanted to make you angry, I would do a little bit of research and find out maybe what politics you were into or something, and then I would write a protest song against your politics, and that would try and manipulate your feelings. But I don't see any sense in that. That's not something that I want to do. So I think what I try to do is to be authentic, not only in the way that I write, but in the way I perform. So I sing, hopefully, well, I know I sing from my heart, but hopefully you see it. And a lot of comments about my performance and so on have said that as well. And hopefully that affects people, and they go, wait, I must listen, because he's really meaning this. So I don't have to agree with him, but it's really true and honest. And maybe that will start some sort of emotional connection, and we can go from there.
Yeah. Okay. Are you sensitive to the listeners' the emotions when you write and when you sing?
Again, I don't think you can try and cater to different people, because I think you'll go mad. I think you'll, particularly if you want a lot of people to hear. I might hold back on stating something in a particular way, because I worry that it may be taken the wrong way, or I know it will make somebody angry, or I know it will make somebody sad. I won't write something like that on purpose, because I don't want to hurt people. But other than that, no. And if it's about my beliefs, or if it's about my a relationship that I have where I want to express something, then I will just be honest. And the honesty might be tough. It might not be sweet and lovely. You know, there might be some challenges in the lyrics. But I would much rather do that. I would much rather that as I'm chatting to you, you kind of go, he's being honest with me. He's not, you know, he's not hiding something, messing me around, rather than try and imagine what you want to hear, and then aim for it. Because if I miss it, then I've missed it anyway, and I haven't been authentic. So I think that's a double lose there.
Okay. So what's your favorite Owen song?
Of my own, again, a lot, but I think at the moment there's a song which is a recent single. At the moment, lockdown has interrupted the recording of it, but I'm most of the way through an album of collaborations, so with other artists here in South Africa. And a song I wrote with a very close friend of mine called Paul Elliott. It's a song called Don't Let Me Be the Reason That You Leave. And that one really speaks to me, because it's in terms of what we've been saying about communication, authenticity. I think we can often, not without meaning to be sometimes, but we can often cause people to be hurt. We can often, just through our actions, through our what we say, all of that kind of thing, we can cause people to fade away from something, to not be interested in something, to back off. And it's very important for me to not be doing that. I'd rather be supporting. I'd rather be connecting. So this song is about that. Don't let me be the reason that you.
Yeah, sing it.
Sing it. All right, there we go. So there we go. I don't think that'll be in shot, but I'll be using that. I'm just gonna try put the guitar to the side of it so it doesn't drown out my voice. Let's see how we go. You hear the guitar?
Good. Go ahead.
Okay. Giving over to distraction. I can't see what isn't here. Am I the mind connecting out beyond the ordinary? Damn, I'm just so naive. But I tell you, don't let me be the reason that you leave. Institutions of the middle, good intentions of the devil. Before the best is gone, I know if love is focused on, it'll rest in what we can do. And I beg you, don't let me be the reason that you leave. Once begun, I'll run and run. I'll never want to stop. Take the monkey from my back, fill the tanks with what I lack. I can carry this with you. All the glory, all your gain, all your joy and all your pain. Nothing left that's overdue. I suppose I could do better. I suppose there's room for that. Give me this room to grow and I'll respond. Yes, yes, I know this moment to retreat. And I ask you, don't let me be the reason that you leave.
Very, very interesting. Yeah, we will never let you be the reason that we leave. We'll never leave.
Good to know. Good to know.
Yeah. Okay. So let's fly to our next question. What do you want to tell people through your music?
I think, as I was saying now about communication, I think it's music is a wonderful way to communicate. Reading is a wonderful way to communicate. If we write down our thoughts and our heart thoughts, if that makes sense, if our real what we want to say, what we need to say, and you read that or you hear that, I think that's an incredible way of getting to someone. It's also because music is something you can take with you. When we kind of closed the interview just now, you will have the recording of that song and you can listen to it again and it might say something to you. You pay it for a friend and it might say something to them, or you can go and look for music on my music online and find more things. And it's that kind of connectivity. It's the connection side that I think is really important with music, that we can share that. Again, music is something which without words connects us all, gets us all going. You can have a Tenarawen or something, a rhythm, that gets us both going because it's got a great driving groove, or we can have something from Australia, or something from Russia, or wherever. The music will still speak to us, and if we can, put a message in that. In this case, I think, be real for each other. Let's really hear each other. That's, I think, a lot of the messages that are coming out in my songs at the moment.
Yeah, great. Okay, so is African music flourishing or suffering currently?
Oh, it's a difficult one to answer because I don't have too much insight in too many of the countries. But look, South African music, artists in general, I have a lot of friends in theatre as well, a lot of friends who are authors. Artists don't quit. We don't know how to quit. We will keep creating, we will keep making work. So in that sense, we will continue to flourish. And look, I mean, the lockdown has forced us to get better at connecting digitally. It's forced us to understand things like Zoom more, to connect with people in Cairo from Johannesburg. I mean, this may not have happened without lockdown. So in that sense, yes, we can flourish, and electronic software, all of that kind of thing allows us to record. I've got a new single collaboration coming out soon that was recorded, one backtrack that I recorded with my phone and she recorded with her phone, and it's come out beautifully because another friend in a different place was able to mix it. So we can flourish. I think the lockdown is obviously is really, really hurting. Theatre is a particular problem because it's about getting together. It's about being close to somebody, and it's about kind of hearing the sound of applause and getting the energy from that. Live music as well, obviously, but music we can, like we just saw, I can play you a song, you can still enjoy that. I think there is a problem. Maybe one aspect is that certainly some parts of South African music, there's still this kind of inferiority complex where we maybe don't feel that we're measuring up to whatever is on the top of the American charts or the top of the UK charts or the top of the somewhere else charts. And I don't get that. I think, a person who can sing is a person who can sing. It doesn't matter what their accent is. It doesn't matter what language they're speaking. A beautiful melody is a beautiful melody, and it doesn't matter, what the tradition is and what the culture is behind it, where it came from, what it's played on, what shape the guitar is. So I think we could flourish more, all of us, if we just got rid of that and we were just great at what we just aspired to be great at what we do, and we got on and did it.
Yeah, that's a good recommendation. Yeah. Okay. Thank you so much for being here, Bruce, today. It has been a great interview. Really, thank you.
No, thank you so much for inviting me, man. I've really enjoyed chatting to you, and I hope we'll get to know each other better.
Yeah, thank you.